Hello and welcome, Andy Salmon, to the Electric Honk podcast Christmas special. I've already forgotten the name of the podcast.
Don't moan, it's Christmas.
And it's podcast number 28. We're already at number 28.
Yeah.
How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
Good stuff. I'm doing all right. Yeah, this is the Electric Honk podcast. We film live at twitch.tv/electric_honk. We film every 2 weeks, don't we? It's all on video. We edit that. We pop it onto YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we put the audio on all the other ones.
Yeah.
Literally all
podcast
of them.
Platform.
Like a true professional podcast.
We've gone global.
Feel free to pop us a follow. And obviously we tweet, we TikTok and all that good stuff as well.
We're both a little bit nasal, aren't we? A little bit bunged up. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because otherwise people would just think we speak weird.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on that for my pork scratchings later on.
Touch on my nasal passage.
That's right. I'm going to shove my finger right up there.
Didn't think I'd be hearing that at the start of the podcast. We normally reserve that for the end of the podcast, to be honest.
I've been up to quite a few things, many Christmassy things. So I've been to like a few theatre shows, like a live Shaun the Sheep, A Flight Before Christmas with a live orchestra, things like that. It's been really good. I've seen Santa about 5 times in different places.
Wow, he's busy, isn't he, Santa?
He's getting around.
Yeah.
He changes age every time I see him.
Oh, yeah. And how much or little he smells of alcohol.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And how close he gets to the kids. No. So my local town, Bramhall, in Stockport, in England, they erected their Christmas tree on the big roundabout, as you do.
I like that you used the word erected there.
Yeah.
I'm already into this story.
It's quite a measly looking Christmas tree. It's quite tall, but it's very narrow and it doesn't look very Christmas tree-like. It's kind of a bit pathetic. Anyway, the locals got a bit annoyed about it, as they do. Kicked up a bit of a fuss. It actually got national news coverage.
Wait, they kicked up a fuss because it looked shit?
Yeah, basically. And it had no lights on it, and it was just this pathetic Christmas tree in the middle of a roundabout. And everyone's like, what the hell is that? That's ridiculous. So the local council got a bit of stick for it. Somehow it made the national news. It's been in 2 or 3 of the national newspapers.
Kind of feeds into what we were talking about last podcast about how the news is just really crap. And
exactly. Yeah. So it's like all the headlines were like, local residents furious at pathetic Christmas tree, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
And it is pretty pathetic. In fact, my 2-year-old son in the car, as we drove past it this morning, said, Papa, look, a small Christmas tree. And I thought, if only the local council could hear a 2-year-old saying that. Yeah.
For a kid, that's actually quite scathing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. They have improved it. They've managed to put some lights on it. What they've said in their defence, they've tried to be quite environmental with it, and they've bought a live Christmas tree that's planted in the ground, and that will grow over the years.
That's exactly what I would say if people accuse me of having a shit Christmas tree.
Yeah. But I believe them in this case. I think it's there permanently, and it'll be there all year round, and over the years it should grow into a bigger.
Did they put lights on it, or?
They've eventually put some lights on it.
Eventually.
I think they had some issues with getting electricity over the road onto the roundabout. We now have a pathetic Christmas tree with lights on.
Okay.
And maybe in 10 years' time we might have a nice Christmas tree
moderately,
with lights on.
Yeah, okay. Well, and I can't believe it made national news. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, I'm definitely feeling in the Christmas mood, and it's not just because I'm wearing this stupid hat that you gave me. for those listeners not watching right now and listening on like Spotify or I don't know, Audible or Deezer or one other, Apple, yeah, a few others.
Castbox.
Salmon has brought to the podcast some glittery kind of like Santa hats, but they're not red or anything like that. Yours is like a weird blue colour, and mine's like a goldy, yellowy, mustardy colour.
I'd say golden.
Very Christmassy. Yeah. And they are probably the cheapest Christmas hats I've ever worn.
They were $1.99 in a petrol station. I picked them up on the way here.
Definitely started to feel a bit more Christmassy. And it's not just
and you brought some mince pies along as well.
I did, yeah. We'll indulge in a mince pie at some point. Yeah. We'll crack that open. You'll be glad to know we now have the upgraded original top shelf box back now. And just to let you know what this sounds like when you slide open the door to reveal the alcohol of the week, listen to this. Oops. That was the sound of pine, rubbing against pine, and then the bottle nearly dropping onto the floor.
It's one of those well-known sensual sounds, isn't it? Pine rubbing up against pine.
Exactly, yeah. This week's is Bailey's Tiramisu Cocktail, and I'm going to specifically show this to the camera because the last podcast, Batschmaller, smack on the arse, podcast number 27, Salmon just forgot to show the bottle to the camera.
And it was such a beautiful bottle as well.
It was, yeah. You described it in great detail. So this is Bailey's Tiramisu Cocktail. It's a limited edition. I thought with it being Christmas, we'd give it a go. This cocktail-inspired limited edition liqueur combines deliciousness of Bailey's ice cream and the decadent flavours of tiramisu dessert. Yum. Enjoy over ice, mix with cocktails, or drizzle over dessert. I should add a little bit on the back end of this saying, or in a shot glass on a podcast. And that's exactly what we'll do.
I'm excited for this. I do like a Bailey's.
It's a screw top, so there's the noise of that.
It's a minus point.
There's no pop.
It looks like a chocolate milkshake.
It does. Watching. Looks like a nice sort of like a, chocolate milkshake or a hot chocolate cheers.
Hot chocolate cheers.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's good. I'm struggling to describe it because it's exactly as you'd expect it to taste, I think. It's like a kind of chocolatey Baileys. That's better than normal Baileys.
Yeah.
The bottom shelf.
That was top shelf. We did go and watch Napoleon film in between the last podcast and this podcast.
I think it's fair to say we were both quite excited about it as well.
I was extremely excited. I've been looking forward to it all year, genuinely.
And you associate quite closely with Napoleon, don't you?
Not really, no. Why'd you say?
I feel like he's your role model.
Why? What's that thing you tell kids to ask why 7 times to the bottom of something?
Why? He was known for being short, wasn't he? But actually...
This is where you're going to skirt around not insulting me, right?
Yeah. Should we just dive in? Small man's disease.
Dive in.
Small man syndrome.
Small man syndrome. He was average height for the time.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Do you think you're average height for the time, or are you smaller than Napoleon?
I don't care to comment, to be honest. If I wear heels in the shoes, then I'm average height for the time.
Okay, fine.
It was a good film. I would rate it like an 8 out of 10, but because I was expecting it to be a 9 or a 10, I came away slightly disappointed. But it was still a good Ridley Scott film.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, unbelievable. I thought he played the character so well.
Did, yeah. You forget you're watching an actor. When someone's that good, you feel like you're watching Napoleon.
Yeah. And the battle scenes were very impressive, I thought, especially that really long one, the Waterloo at the end.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the film, I think, that bit. Yeah. Ridley Scott, as a director, made it really good. Like, the battle scenes, like I say, were quality. And I agree, I was expecting more. What I think kind of ruined it is it felt like a whistle-stop tour of his life.
Yeah.
You know, like, how he got into position and then the rise and fall of him. Quality films like Gladiator or something like that really focus and get you really involved, don't they, emotionally, like, oh my god, I want this guy to win. Whereas this film is kind of like bordered on like a documentary sort of thing, didn't it? Like a dramatized
They could almost do with doing like a 2-part film, like early life and late life, or something like that. But I would have liked to see how like he grew in competency and respect a little bit more. It was almost like overnight everyone just respected him, and you almost want to see people undermining him a bit, and then paying for it, and then over time him becoming like Supreme Lord, because Emperor.
He's got to be one of the most interesting people in the history of mankind.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 hours or however long it was just doesn't do it justice, does it?
No. We've got Leave the World Behind as well. I watched this on Netflix. Do you know much about this?
Oh, you watched it, have you?
I've seen it, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, and it's on my watch list, but I've not seen it or really read about it.
Right,
I've just heard that it's like the next big thing you have to watch.
Barack and Michelle Obama, it's their first film. They founded a production company like 6 years ago. That's a very slow pace, isn't it, of releasing films?
I guess so.
One every 6 years.
Yeah.
It's really good. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a little bit like apocalyptic type of film.
Right.
When you think of apocalyptic films, you normally think of like cities crumbling and all of that.
Yeah.
This is not set in a city. It's set in rural, not very like intensive. So it's almost like a bit of a chill film in a way. But then like you realise what's going on, and the thing that makes it interesting is the stuff that happens in the film. Obviously, he's had some sort of oversight over the content.
Okay.
And it worries me that he has had that oversight because there's some pretty scary shit in there about what could happen to the world.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil it, but definitely recommend that. That was a good watch. Beardfishing.
Yeah, okay.
Have you heard about beardfishing?
No, but I like the sound of it.
Well, what do you think of when you think
sounds like a Christmas game.
A Christmas.
Loads of beards in the middle of a table. You can get a little fishing rod.
For those listeners not watching, Salmon just like casting out a mini fishing rod, pretending to reel in an actual beard.
And then you have to put it on.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Yeah, if I didn't know what it was, I would have thought fishing with a beard. You're having a beard.
Not fishing for a beard.
No, that makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
Come on then. What's beard fishing?
When's the sort of mating season of the beards? When's the best time to go fishing for them, Simon?
Definitely like mid-spring sort of time.
Right, beard fishing. So catfishing.
Yeah.
So that's when somebody's got pictures that they look amazing and actually in real life they're absolute munters.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. Someone with a beard looks like quite manly.
Oh, I see.
And then when they have a shave, they sort of look like,
yeah.
How you doing, mate?
I think that applies to a lot of people, When you see a lot of people with beards are trendy these days, aren't they? You imagine someone with a beard shaved off and it completely transforms, doesn't it?
Yeah, no longer manly.
The beard becomes their identity, I think, once you get a pretty solid one.
Especially those people that sculpt them.
Yeah.
Like big old, sculpted bit. Dan Bilzerian style.
Yeah.
But I bet he looks weird without a beard. But yeah, I just heard the phrase the other day, beard fishing.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to become more and more common. Probably not as common as catfishing, but I saw a sketch the other day and I just wanted to mention it because it just created a really funny image in my head. It reminded me a little bit of Life of Brian. Have you seen the Life of Brian?
Yeah.
And the one where he's on the cross and he's like, it sort of just pans out and it's like, they're just having a chit chat.
Yeah.
Imagine Jesus on the cross and just sort of saying, "Oh, I really hope that in the future people make like necklaces out of what's happening right now." Just imagine.
I've heard a similar thing before. Like, why do people not wear necklaces with like a guillotine on it or something like that? Like a prince's head being chopped off. It's a torture method, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah. Wear it around your neck. Wear it with pride. Yeah.
We've got Jesus cross, and I thought you were going to tell me what makes Jesus cross.
No, but now that you mention it, what do you think did make him cross? This is a Christmas-themed
Romans.
Pod. Romans.
Yeah.
Nails.
Yeah.
So the title of the podcast, Don't Mone, spelled M-O-N-E, which is Christmas. Michelle Mone's surname spelt like that.
Yeah.
Been in the news a lot lately, fair to say?
Absolutely, yeah. And then she's just done an interview with quite a senior politics journalist in the UK, Laura Kuenssberg.
Probably the most senior, Laura Kuenssberg.
Yeah, she was head of BBC Politics for a while, and then she went sort of like rogue on her own. Yeah. So she got an exclusive interview with Michelle Mone. Basically, the story is Michelle Mone is a baroness, so she's in the House of Lords. She's got contacts left, right and centre. When the pandemic started, she was immediately on the phone to Michael Gove saying, we can get you any equipment you need.
Well, there's a bit more to this than what you just said there. She's in lingerie. That's her gig, right?
Yeah, that's how she became a multimillionaire.
Where's the splinter here? It's like, we're very good at making sexy underwear. Let's deliver some PPE to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah, so her and her husband basically got on the phone to Michael Gove, said, we've got experience in business, etc., and we can make
Pro
clothes.
Limited or something.
We can set up MedPro, MedPro PPE or something. They won a contract for £220 million or something like that.
202 million. 202. Two contracts worth of combined 202 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they claimed at the end the profit out of that was 60 million.
Yeah, 30%.
Then it turned out that all of the equipment they made was entirely worthless because it wasn't fit for purpose and just ended up being put on a heap, landfill.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing about this is that they opened up what they called fast lanes in the procurement process. The NHS did through the pandemic, and the point of that was cut the red tape from the procurement process to allow PPE to be supplied when it was needed in high volumes. Yeah. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. They had the right idea, but it's almost like that was done on purpose to allow these types of things to happen.
Yeah,
right?
It was kind of like friends in high places. This is your opportunity to get some free government money.
Yeah, and they estimate that something like 7 or 8 billion pounds worth of gear has been wasted. I'm not talking about cocaine there.
PPE gear.
PPE gear, It's absolutely crazy.
It is.
Another striking thing for me was that she said she doesn't, literally quote, I don't see what we've done wrong here.
Yeah.
Wait, you're in the House of Lords and you are taking government contracts. That is the clearest conflict of interest you could get.
I think she's allowed to do it, but she has to declare it and she chose not to. The issue was that is she's like, well, the government knew all along, so they could have also made a comment about it, but they also chose silence. She's trying to shift the blame on the government whilst also kind of admitting that she
did actually tweet Sunak to say, what are you talking about? Literally, what are you talking about is what she said. You've known all along, because the government is now suing those companies to crack down on the fraud that happened.
Yeah.
It feels weird to say that they're doing that when they probably helped facilitate it in the first place.
Yeah. I think on the surface of it, it's absolutely shocking that they can get away with a £220 million contract, fail to deliver it, make £60 million profit. And, and not just that profit, but all of the other £202 million has been spent for that company as well. So it's not like they've only got the profit.
Yeah, they've taken a wage and all that stuff as well.
And then so she also then said that she didn't benefit at all from the money from it.
Yes.
The press hounded her, essentially, and said, what about all this, and this, your connection to your husband, etc. And she flat outright said, I've done nothing wrong. I'm not involved. I don't benefit financially at all. My family doesn't benefit.
Yeah.
And her lawyers were putting these massively threatening letters out to all the journalists.
A lot of journalists,
saying, if you carry on with this, we're going to sue the hell out of you, etc. What's shocking is the journalists were all right. Like, they had the facts.
Yes.
And they were not just accusing her, they were telling her what she'd done.
It's one of those rare occasions where the journalists have actually done their jobs properly.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's one of the grey areas in law, because she openly said on this interview, hey, there's nothing criminal about lying to the press. Laura Koonsberg was like, yeah, but can you not see how wrong that is to go to the press and say you've done nothing wrong? You're telling the whole world you've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, because she must know that the conduit to the public is the press.
Yeah.
So whatever she tells the press, she's basically telling the public, right?
Exactly.
So she is lying to the public. Yeah. And she was lying to the public.
But her defence is there's no criminal offence about lying to the public, which is shocking. There's a growing opinion now between the Tories and Labour Party to try and change the laws to say, if you try and send out a threatening letter via your lawyers to stop a story from being published, you have to then submit a legal witness statement with that claim, with that legal letter, to say what the true facts are. And then if that turns out to be false in the future, then you can be prosecuted for perjury, for lying to the court, essentially.
That makes good sense. I like that, because it then means, look, I'm telling you to stop doing this because this is the real truth.
Exactly.
And you've got it wrong.
Yeah. Whereas currently you can say, I'm telling you to stop this because I've got more money than you.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we'll just keep suing you and suing you and suing you. Yeah.
What I liked about that interview is I didn't know she was Scottish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So she's got this kind of like very unattractive voice, which is quite an attractive lass, isn't she?
Yeah.
Blonde, kind of like young. And you associate the House of Lords in the UK Parliament, just like a load of old cronies.
Grey hair,
60-year-old fat, like on their last legs, almost dead, kind of like
Alan Sugars.
Yeah. The Alan Sugars of this world, Donald Trump's of this world. Yeah, she's like 30-something, into sort of lingerie, probably wears lingerie, who knows, allegedly. Yeah. I don't have to say.
You haven't Googled it.
I haven't Googled it, definitely not. Don't check my search history. Pretty shocking that this has all happened, but then when she talks, her face doesn't move. She's had so much Botox, it's just the lips, and that's it.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, yeah, you're not looking good in the public eye here.
I think she's a horrible person, and I think her husband is one of these like pure business, like business is more important than anything else in the world. And she just like rides the wave of him as well.
If we're not delivering a podcast in 2 weeks' time, we probably have had a threatening letter from Michelle Mone and her MedPro company. So for all those reasons, any likeness to any people is purely coincidental. We do actually do some planning for this podcast, albeit it's only like half an hour or an hour or something like that. But I saw something on TikTok and you happen to see the same thing, which is freakish because there must be trillions of videos out on TikTok. And
it's
both
quite a niche one as well, isn't it? Yeah. We've both seen.
So I think the algorithm's seriously tuning into our
it really is.
tastes. At what point does seeing owls start to become weird? Is it after one owl? If you see a second owl, a third? Like at what point does it get weird for you, Salmon?
You warned me that you were going to ask me on this to give me time to think about it, and I actually genuinely didn't think about it until now. So I'm going to think out loud. 1 owl is nice. 2 owls is nice. I'd probably even say 3 owls is quite nice to see.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
3?
At once or 3 separate occasions?
Separate occasions. How many occasions?
Yeah, I think 3 is fine.
If you just see 3 owls, I mean, that's just weird, isn't it, together?
I don't know if it is. I mean, it's rare, but I wouldn't be freaked out by it. I'd be like, oh, wow, 3 owls. That's nice. Right. I think for me, for it to be properly weird and to freak me out a little bit, we're talking like 10?
10?
Maybe 9, yeah.
You don't think like after the 4, you've not seen an owl for like 3 years and then you see 3 or 4 in a single fucking day?
Yeah.
You don't think that's where you have to get to 10?
I would probably comment, to my missus and say, guess what? I've seen 4 owls today.
Even then, you still sound like optimistic, like it's not
it's
weird.
quite a nice thing, yeah.
Like you're soundboarding
I'd
her.
be pleased, I think, yeah. I think it's got to be a seriously high number. Like, for me, like, I think 9. If I've seen 9 owls...
I mean, I think if I see one owl, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
If I see a second one, I'm like, oh, right, that's slightly coincidental.
Yeah.
If I'm seeing a third, I'm getting seriously suspicious at that point. Yeah.
You're like, what is going on around here?
Why are there so many owls all of a sudden? I've not seen one for literally years.
I think I've grown up in the countryside where I've seen owls occasionally.
Okay.
And I think I've probably seen 2 in a day before and not been bothered about it. And I think
all right, well, I was dragged
3,
up in the gutter, mate, so we see rats.
Yeah, 1 rat, I'd be freaked out. Show me 9 owls and I'll be getting worried.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that was a way higher number than I thought.
And you're going, what, 3?
3, maybe 4.
Goose News.
This episode's Goose News is actually quite local. The headline is, Town Gets Geese Signs to Allay Residents' Fears. An animal lover's worries about the safety of geese in her town have led to the creation of specialist signs aimed at protecting her feathered friends. Sheila Kavanagh, who's an absolute legend in my eyes, said she was spurred into action after several geese were killed when a gaggle was hit by a car in Ramsbottom. You know where Ramsbottom is?
I was very close to that only just a few days ago.
She said that avian adventurers had almost achieved celebrity status in the Greater Manchester town after a picture of them waiting at a crossroad was shared on social media, but their passion for walking into the road had left them in danger. She approached Bury Council and was told that there was no money for signs, so she managed to get a local firm to create some that she hoped would now keep the geese safe.
Goose crossing.
Yeah,
signs.
it is. It really is. Yeah, I'll show you in a minute. So while the geese are a joy to observe, many residents have become concerned that they were putting themselves in danger. So a company called Melba Swintex, which manufactured traffic signs, offered to create the signs for free.
In relation to Michelle Mone?
Yeah. Offered to create the signs for free after a worker read about them on Facebook.
Definitely not in relation to Michelle Mone.
Right, yeah. It's pure kindness. The geese brought a tremendous amount of pleasure to everyone, and the company wanted to keep them safe. Miss Kavanagh said it's typical of Ramsbottom, as the town had a good community who pulled together when necessary.
I'm going to find that company. I'm going to pop them in the old YouTube comments section.
Yeah, nice.
/ description. Give them a bit of... What a lovely thing.
Can you see that?
Yeah, caution.
Cool. Yeah.
Goose crossing. Yeah, I can see it.
Nice.
Oh, caution geese crossing, multiple. Yeah. And some of them are... Yeah, I like the way they didn't just... Yeah, they're all doing different things, basically.
And that signs reminds me, there's a computer game called Frog Crossing. Or Froggo.
Oh, yeah, Froggo.
Yeah.
Is that like a 90s game? Yeah.
So in some parts of the world, it's called Frog, like the letter X, ING, Frog Crossing. My girlfriend and her sister, when they were young, playing this game, being French and English not being their first language, thought the game was called Frog Xing. XING, Frog Xing. So they grew up loving this game called Frog Xing.
And how did that conversation come about? Did she just slip that in as though it was just
yeah, I think she saw it one day. She's like, oh yeah, that's that game, Frog Xing. And I was like, it took me like a few seconds to think about it. I was like, Frog Crossing? Like an X. And I was like, oh my God, Frog Xing, what's that?
You told me something else earlier about your missus and the pronunciation of something.
Oh, she thinks, you know how you have like one tooth, 2 teeth?
Oh, yeah,
and then, there's other one... I can't think of any of the
examples. Goose and geese.
Yeah, one goose, one geese. There you go. So there's so many examples in English language of that where the oo sound is the singular and the e sound is the plural.
Yes.
And so she didn't make this mistake, but she decided it would make more sense if you had 1 new and 2 knees.
Oh, so, okay, yeah. So makes sense. A new and knees.
Yeah. So she thinks your knee should be called your new. And me and you were talking earlier about how our silly vocabulary sometimes slips out in public.
Yes.
And actually, I think when my girlfriend went to a physio or a doctor sometime, she said she had pain with her new, and she's like, I mean knee. So yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe we should start a petition. It would be so great if we could actually change the world for the better.
It would be for
new
the better,
instead of. Yeah, it makes sense. Talking about niche language creeping into it. So you're...
Noosh language.
Noosh.
Oh, niche.
Americans say Nietzsche.
Yeah.
That's it really annoys me. It bugs me. You will just change vocabulary, and it's kind of funny at the time, but you do it frequently enough.
Yeah.
for the same things. So it's not like a one-off. You do it to the point where it becomes not really that funny anymore, but it becomes more normalized funny because it's just the language that people start to use. Yeah. So we always set up the podcast and we set up the microphones, and you call them the Yorkrophone. I can't even say it.
It's not microphone, it's Yorkrophone.
And I found the other day, I was just talking to myself and I was like, I need to get my microphone out. And I was like, I'm starting to call it Yorkrophone in my head when I'm not even speaking it out loud.
That's brilliant.
That was Goose News. We also got a little segment here on woke news that you're...
Yeah, you know what? Quite a lot of the notes that I make in my phone about what we should talk about in the podcast tend to be... they seem quite funny at first. Then when you read it, it's just like it's another press article about the world going woke. And
yes,
I'm not sure how I feel about this because it tends to be quite a lot of the right-wing press that are anti-woke.
You don't want to associate with... the right wing, well, I say you don't. Some people do. I certainly don't. I don't think you do. I'm more central, to be fair, but...
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be the next GB News.
But equally, nobody wants to be treading on eggshells thinking that... And a fully innocent person trying to do the right thing and just bumble his way through life. Yeah. Insulting everyone because they've got so precious about every little thing.
Yeah. Two of the things I had saved in my phone for this episode. First one is the Women's World Croquet Championships took place in UK recently.
Okay.
And the winner was a guy called Jamie Gumbrell, who, well, he was a guy, he's now a woman. So he last entered the World Croquet Championships.
I'm so fucked up right now already, honestly, because first of all, Jamie, it can be a male or female name.
Yeah.
And you said guy. Some people will use guy
for both sexes,
as well. Yeah. So right, okay.
So he was a man. And he last entered the World Croquet Championships in 2019.
As a man? Oh, God.
Then COVID happened. And during that time, he transitioned to a woman, came back to the next World Croquet Championships in 2023.
Smashed them.
And he represented Australia and beat England's Rachel Gee in the final.
Right.
Gutfest.
Goo.
So one goo, two geese. That's today's... Well, that's one of our woke news. So, yeah, it's pretty shocking that within 4 years, like, you enter the men's World Croquet Championships, come back, transition, and then all of a sudden you're entering the women's. I say it's shocking. For a lot of people out there, it might be completely fine. You know, if he always felt like he was a woman.
Well, I don't know. Well, there are clearly some... I mean, you only have to look at the average muscle mass of a male versus the average muscle mass of the average female to think, wait a minute, something's a bit fishy going on here. That guy looks a little bit more buff. In general, there is a higher muscle mass for males.
Yeah.
And that leads itself to more physical performance.
Yeah.
So
does that really enter the world of croquet, though? Does it matter?
That's a fair point. I mean, yeah, anything to do with physicality, there's a pretty high chance that men will be able to outperform women. And that's not any kind of opinion. That's just
scientific
like
fact.
Statistical fact, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's a scary thought that a man can just turn around one day and go, fuck this, I'm going to get famous and start being a female in X sport. It seems to be getting more and more niche as well, like croquet.
I know.
It's like they're running out of sports to dominate.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the next thing?
I wonder what we could do. We could transition to women and try and win a world championship at something.
The World Gurning Championships.
The Black Pudding Throwing Championships. We try and win that.
Women's.
Yeah.
Do you know, I bet that would get some headlines as well.
It would, absolutely would, yeah.
Just go to transgender for one day. I need to salmon.
I need to salmon too. My other piece of woke news is the Miss France competition was held last night or the night before. And the big news is that the winner, for the first time ever, I think, has had what they call an androgynous haircut, like a boy's haircut, essentially.
Okay.
So she looks like an attractive female, but with a really short haircut.
Okay.
And the outcry is, this is ridiculous. This is not what Miss France is all about. We're like beautiful women with long hair and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're saying she only won because she's got short hair and they're trying to improve their diversity, etc.
Was she good looking, though? I mean, it's all about looks, isn't it, the misses?
I think so, yeah. I think they also have to give a speech about how much they care about world peace and all that sort of stuff. But,
environment and stuff.
Yeah, but it's mainly their looks, isn't it, I think.
Was she good looking, or do you reckon she actually did get it because of the short haircut?
I think both. Like, I think to be a finalist in Miss any country, you're probably going to be pretty good looking anyway. Okay. So you can't say that she was ugly and had short hair and still won. I think the argument is she beat her competitors because she had short hair.
I don't buy it. I think the French look for things to revolt around. To be honest, I genuinely think that. I mean, there's history as well. We talked about it earlier in the pod.
Yeah.
But I think I find like short hair on women quite attractive.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's of consequence.
Yeah, I agree. I think the argument is that if she had long hair, maybe she wouldn't have won. Like the reason for her winning was because she had short hair, and the judges.
So do you think like that's France's way of easing in the wokeness, and next year it will just be a transgender?
Yeah, be a man. Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
that's another world championship that's yet to be won by a man. I think
it's just getting more and more difficult to navigate, isn't it? The whole thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the Miss France one isn't a difficult one to navigate. It's just a woman with short hair, and people are kicking a fuss about it.
Yeah.
But the croquet one is, that's a tricky issue.
Yeah. Do you think France are having the same crisis of news identity that they're having in the BBC UK?
I don't know, actually.
Nothing to hook onto, so they've got shit like that.
Well, apparently Miss France is massive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a really big deal over there.
Of course she's massive. She's a bloke.
With short hair, yeah. No, I think the actual competition is like watched by the majority of the country. It's kind of like the X Factor final or something in England.
Okay. You don't really hear about Miss UK, do you?
No.
Actually, come to think of it, you don't hear about Mr. UK. They don't really do a Mr. competition, do they?
No. Maybe we can enter that. If no one else enters it. We'll still lose.
Did you hear about the Universal Studios thing?
Is this the Bedford edition?
It does say Bedford on the notes, yeah.
No, I've not heard of it.
Speaking of short hair, there were some people in Bedford with short hair.
And they went to Universal Studios?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, yeah.
No, I think it is now becoming more news. And, you know, we joke about being the first to break news on this podcast, as well as Wind.
Yeah.
When I heard about this, it was just over some, like, sort of internet sleuths doing some investigation work. And obviously I heard about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of evidence now that points to Universal Studios opening up a theme park in the UK, in Bedford.
Right.
They've bought 500 acres of land in Bedford, and there's a lot of other things like the domains that they've bought and some other things like that. There's been some leaked images of what the park might look like, and those images have got some credibility because of who leaked them, and also the styling as well is reflective of some of the other concepts that Universal Studios have come up with. For example, I think it's either Beijing or Hong Kong. I'm getting mixed up.
Yeah,
but I think it's Beijing. There's a Universal Studios opening up there, and the art style of this concept for the Bedford one was very similar to the Beijing one.
Okay,
so there's quite a lot of credibility behind it. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to become a thing, Universal Studios in the UK, because councils in the UK love a good reason to deny planning permission.
Yeah, they do.
Normally wildlife, isn't it?
And these things take like 20 years just to get the planning permission sorted, don't they?
But I like that. I mean, I think it'd be a good thing for the UK. I mean, we need more things like that. They're a bit more entertaining, brighten up the day and bring new people to the country.
Yeah. Or saying that, I've not actually been to a British theme park for a long time. I don't think I've been to Alton Towers for ages.
Have you not?
I've not been to Peppa Pig World. Not been to CBeebies Land.
Is there a Peppa Pig World?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's in, I think it's in Alton Towers. Oh no, Peppa Pig World's down south.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to that. Evie would absolutely love that.
Oh, you'd take her, would you?
Good point. Last time we covered on the podcast a new AI trend, which is the make it more trend. We won't go into detail, but basically you ask the AI to do more and do more extreme versions of it. And obviously there's making this geese more silly, more and more silly. And the images then get generated off the back of that, and the AI really tries quite hard to make it more and more silly. And sometimes the AI will say, no, I'm sorry, this is as silly as it can get, and therefore you've got to find ways around that. Like, as we gave the example, no, you've done a silly goose, but this is the silly king goose.
Yeah, I remember
the silly
that,
emperor king of the geese, and so on and so forth.
So it's a new trend, or is it?
Well, it's in keeping with that trend. It's the make it less trend.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
interesting. Make it less trend. So, I mean, obviously it was going to happen at some point with the make it more one.
Yeah.
But I just love the example that I saw today. If there was ever an example that I was going to see, I would have wanted it to have been this one to introduce me to the concept of the make it less trend. A guy that asks the AI to do a picture of a guy who is supporting Spurs.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously they don't ever win anything, so he's very sad.
Yeah.
So it's make him sad, make him more sad.
Okay.
Make him even more sad.
That feels like make it more though.
All right, we'll make him less happy. Okay.
You've won. Well done. Carry on.
Sorry. Don't you get me on a technicality. But it's really funny because, and I'll show some of the pictures on the edit, but and I might be able to show you some of the pictures here because it's on a TikTok where you can scroll through the pictures.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Gets to the point where, again, the AI is like kind of saying, no, I cannot make this guy any more sad.
Yeah.
Like, and then he says, well, yeah, look, he's going to be forever not happy because he supports Spurs and they will literally never win anything. So he's trying to persuade the AI to make it less and less and less. And it gets to the point where this guy's like almost like a ghost of his former self.
Yeah.
And he's in the stadium, and it gets to the point where they say he's sat there for eternity. The stadium has fallen apart. Earth has been abandoned, and he's still really sad that Spurs haven't won anything. He sits there in that room for eternity, eternally sad. He is the epitome of sadness. And here we go. We get a little bit more sad.
Poor guy.
You can see there.
He's making me sad looking at him.
Yeah, he's losing his hair. He's gone grey. He's obviously still a big Spurs fan, and then he just says sadder in capitals. So then we get to this guy who's just basically like,
looks like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, just some sort of a wizard character. Much, much sadder. So then we get to...
Oh my God.
So he's in the stadium this time and he's got no eyes pretty much.
It's basically a skeleton.
Yeah, he sits there on the field until the end of time. And now the guy's like kind of like a ghostly type character. You can see that there.
Still supporting his team.
And then he has sat there for thousands of years. The stadium's fallen apart. Earth has been abandoned.
That's incredible. That's so good. There's grass growing on him and everything.
How about we take a little break, have a mince pie,
Yep.
and talk about the Christmas adverts?
Okay. When you say take a little break, what do you mean?
I mean, we eat this mince pie right now.
Live on camera, yeah?
Yeah, live on camera.
This reminds me of Ed Miliband eating a bacon sandwich with the press. Like,
He never quite recovered from that.
Never, ever recovered from
Yeah.
it.
You looked at all the adverts. I've only seen about 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. I think Waitrose and John Lewis have, not so much John Lewis. You like the John Lewis one. I felt like, you can imagine the John Lewis marketing team sat around the table going, I haven't got a fucking clue what we're going to do this year. Has anyone got any suggestions? And everyone's a bit too scared to say anything. And the boss is like, literally fucking anything, guys. And one guy puts his hand up.
It's a few weeks away.
Yeah, he's like, what if instead of a Christmas tree, you had a Venus flytrap? I like it. Carry on. Okay.
And it grows and grows.
Bigger and bigger. And it starts eating everything in the house. Okay, keep going. I like it. And it starts eating so much they have to take it outside.
Oh my God, that is genius. You do a promotion.
Yeah. Has anyone got any other ideas? No? Right, we're going with that one.
Fucking bizarre.
But the message it was portraying, or that it was trying to portray, was basically grow your own tradition. You don't have to worry what every other family in the world is doing at Christmas time. You don't have to have the stereotype Christmas card, picturesque Christmas like everyone's having on Instagram. Have your own traditions and enjoy it and embrace it.
Yeah, but I could honestly think of a million different traditions, and a flytrap growing would not be one of them.
No. But remember, you've got to try and sell a stuffed toy at the end of it as well. So the stuffed toy, fly traps are flying off the shelf, I think.
Then there was the one with the robin. Was that the Waitrose one?
Yeah, that was a Waitrose
nice,
one.
Heartfelt, serious Christmas.
Because the lyrics to the song in the background were all about like, it's been a hard year, we've been separated and coming back home for Christmas and stuff. And this little robin, and he flies away from the little boy or girl. I was saying I hate the character of that little kid because you don't know if it's a boy or a girl. It's just a generic child. And anyway, they feed the robin a mince pie. The robin flies off.
It's a woke child, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The robin goes through like this horrific year, getting thrown about, getting caught by the waves, getting covered in snow, and
at one point it
attacked by animals.
Nearly got stood on by a fisherman on a fisherman's boat, which I thought was a little bit too far, really.
Well, yeah, but then he
very
gets
unrealistic. Red robins don't go on fishing boats.
Yeah, I've seen one before
on fishing boats.
Yeah, when I was out fishing once.
What would you do if you saw 9?
8 would be all right, but 9
too much.
Would freak me out. Yeah, but that message was kind of like using the robin to show, look, we've all had a fucking shit time recently. We're all going back to our families. We can all just have a nice time and reflect and be happy that we got through it all.
It was a very emotional advert, and I liked it, and it was a very serious advert, and it doesn't surprise me for Waitrose, but there's something ironic about Waitrose, which, for those not in the UK, is the most expensive supermarket in the UK by quite some margin, I would say. So it's quite ironic that they're saying, we've all had a tough year, let's all come together and spend loads of money at Waitrose.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up really, that, does it?
No, that's right, yeah.
So,
you know, like sports washing, it's kind of like Christmas washing, isn't it? Like, like we don't give a shit really, but this message you guys might like associate with this.
Yeah. And then you might come and shop at our place.
Yeah.
Give it a little visit. You liked one with the old guy lifting the weights.
So I didn't know what this shop was called. Doc Morris. When I Googled them, it turns out they're like the main pharmaceutical chain around Central Europe, like Germany, France, Holland, all this sort of countries. Kind of like the Boots of Europe. And there's this old man in the back of his shed moving stuff around, and he finds this kettlebell on the floor and tries lifting it up and nearly does his back in. And he's like, oh, bloody hell. Looks at
this advert's like 3 minutes long, isn't it? Quite a long one, that one,
yeah.
I noticed.
He looks at his photograph, but you don't know what it is at the time.
Yeah.
And that photograph seems to inspire him to try lifting it every day and getting stronger and stronger. And all of a sudden, he's lifting it above his head, and he's got his tracksuit on, and he's like little fingerless gloves and everything.
I love the Umbro Chelsea shell suit tracksuit that he had on. That was quality. And then he's like his daughter turns up and is like, what the fuck
what are you doing
wearing that?
Yeah. And then at the end, his granddaughter comes down the stairs and he gifts her a really nice box, and inside is a massive star to go on top of the Christmas tree, and she looks delighted with it. And then he lifts her up like a kettlebell above shoulder height so she can put the star on the tree. And then the mum's like crying and he's crying as well. And it's a really nice advert, actually, really well made.
And I definitely was not crying earlier when you showed it to me.
You had as much tears in your eyes as the granddad did.
The thing is, it literally said tearjerker on the comments, and you said it's a bit of a tearjerker, and the title of it said tearjerker, so I knew it was a tearjerker. I was trying not to cry.
And it still jerked your tears.
Still jerked me tears. Yeah, that was a good one. That's probably my favourite one. I did see a few others. I can't remember which supermarkets they were, but I got a general feeling that they were trying to avoid the trap of, oh, it's been a hard year.
Yeah.
Like, it felt to me like there was a lot of adverts that were just nothingness, just bullshit adverts.
Yeah.
Really.
Like the Asda one's got Rick Astley in it, and that was a bit shit.
Speaking of Rick Astley, you bought a card for us today.
Yeah.
Brought a Christmas card round, and you said it was a surprise to us, but it was broken. Now, I've never ever heard of a Christmas card being broken, so I was already on edge a little bit, I'll be honest. So then we opened it, and it was playing Rick Astley.
It was already playing it.
It was already playing the Rick Roll music.
Yeah.
So it was literally broken. But the joke is, you open the card up and that starts playing. But it was broken. But I didn't want to seem ungrateful, so I didn't want to throw it in the bin or destroy it.
Yeah.
So we kind of just left it on the side playing over and over.
For over an hour, I think.
Yeah, at least an hour. And my baby girl, 1.5 years old, she was confused.
Yeah.
She was dancing, to be fair. But I have to tell you, you don't know this, but Gemma put it in the utensil drawer to quieten it.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, okay, well, that's a good idea.
Yep.
Took a bit of decibels out of the volume.
Yeah.
And then I came down a little bit later, and she said, I've had to break it.
Yeah.
I've had to destroy it. But the joke's on her.
I know what's coming.
She destroyed it, and the glitter went everywhere.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. So it's a card, basically. When you open it, the music plays on repeat non-stop for forever, basically, until the battery runs out. And if you try and rip the battery out to stop it playing, glitter goes everywhere.
Yeah, we didn't know that was the case, but I feel like I did the right thing. I was like, well, no, we're not going to get rid of this card. It's a nice, funny, heartfelt, funny joke card. So I feel like the joke wasn't really on me. I feel like I've dealt with it. I'm like, yeah, okay. The joke's on Gemma because she's a fucking Grinch.
Well, the thing is, the joke is designed for people. You're expected to rip it open and stop it. So she did the right thing, really. Otherwise, the glitter wouldn't be in there. I'm really pleased with that.
Salmon's parenting tips?
Yeah. This is kind of serious with a light-hearted poem at the end. I do read quite a few parenting guides and things like that on how to be parent. There's a lot of techniques now that are so different to how our parents behaved. So the modern sort of parenting is so much more based around putting the kids' emotions first and trying to empathize with the children and making sure that they're not just told to shut up or told to behave. You actually empathize with them, understand where they're coming from.
Which is hard, because in the heat of battle, sometimes you just want to stop them from killing themselves, don't you?
Yeah, which is
literally it's just about whatever. To my kid will just constantly climb on the TV cabinet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want fingerprints on the TV. That's one thing. But I don't want her to fall off and hurt herself.
Yeah.
So I'm shouting at her progressively louder and louder so she knows I'm serious. And I kind of think I should have just gone straight to 10 because I don't think she's noticing the loudness slightly gradually increasing. I understand that. Anyway. Yeah.
And then there's things like put your shoes on and then they throw a tantrum. And then if, your instant response might just be like, put your bloody shoes on. We need to go. We're in a hurry.
Yeah.
Whereas like the modern parent techniques now, like get down on their eye level, try and understand why they're frustrated, see if they wouldn't help, etc. And so I read a lot of stuff about that. And then there's a lot of stuff about how the way your parents raised you and the sort of mistakes they made get passed down to you, and then that affects your behaviour with your children. It's like a repeating cycle constantly.
All right, so it doesn't opposite. So it doesn't. You don't then learn from that necessarily.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if you were
zigzagging,
if you're conscious about it, maybe you would learn.
Okay,
but, most people, they kind of inherit the same mistakes that their parents made and pass it on, and it's like a horrible cycle. In this thing I was reading, it's like as referenced in a poem by Philip Larkin called "This Be the Verse," and I read it, and it's quite funny at the end. So
were your tears jerked or not?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So I'm going to read it to you. It's quite a funny little poem. They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. But they were fucked up in their turn by fools in old-style hats and coats, who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man, it deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out early as you can, and don't have any kids yourself.
That's kind of grim, isn't it? It's a great poem.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. So what's the advice?
Well, according to Philip Larkin, don't have any kids.
Don't have kids.
You can't break the cycle.
Yeah, you can't pass it on if you don't have any to pass it on.
Yeah. I think on a serious note, the advice is if you do have kids and you dislike the way some of your parents treated you when you were growing up, or you don't have a great relationship with your parents, try and break that cycle. Try and be more empathetic and understanding to your kids.
Extra! Read all about it.
It's the headliner.
So those of you who don't know the headliner segment, we'll read out 3 different headlines. We take it in turns each podcast. It's my turn this week, and I'm going to be reading out 3 headlines. I don't know the context of the story, although, to be fair, it's normally quite obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it usually gives it away in the title.
Salmon's going to choose one of the 3 that he likes, and we'll dig into more detail on that specific topic. Man uncovered as the infamous Somerset Gimp has been found guilty despite insisting, "I am not a gimp."
It's a good, solid defence, to be fair.
Ghislaine Maxwell, is that how you pronounce her name?
Yeah.
Ghislaine?
I know, Prince Andrew's friend.
Ghislaine?
Yeah, something like that.
I need to jizz, where do I go? Let's go to Ghislaine, mate.
Just nip down there. Clues in the title.
Ghislaine Maxwell snitched on transgender cellmate over loud sex. And the cat call centre.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Right, we're going for the gimp.
Of course we are.
Bring out the gimp. What's that film from?
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, great film. I want to watch that now. Right, I've got to copy this text and now find the article, which means it's on my search history.
Yeah.
The Guardian. It's in The Guardian. I bet, right, I'm just going to make a few predictions. I bet they name him.
Okay.
Fully, first and last name. I bet they say his age.
Yeah.
And they might even say what street he lives on.
Okay.
Sometimes they do that. So, yes, I'm happy. Oh, I just accepted the cookies.
Oh, I accepted one of your cookies earlier. It was quite nice.
A literal cookie. I gave you a cookie, didn't you? Yeah.
I accepted your cookies.
Yeah. The joke's on you, mate. You've got diabetes now. A man accused of being Somerset Gimp, guilty of deliberately scaring motorists. This is slightly different headliner, but it's the same thing. Yeah. Joshua Hunt, 32.
From Ghislaine.
I walked right into that one. Just head to toe in black and wore a mask with eyes and mouth painted on. Right. So he's not a gimp. He really isn't a gimp. He's just dressed in black with a mouth painted on. A man has been found guilty of deliberately terrifying motorists on a dark country lane. Cheers, Lane. By dressing head to foot in a black and donning a mask with eyes and a mouth painted on, but insists he was not the notorious Somerset Gimp. Joshua Hunt, 32, confirmed in court that he was the masked man who had frightened passing drivers on North Somerset on 2 nights in May. 2 nights? He enjoyed it so much the first night, he went back the second.
Definitely doing that again.
But giving evidence at Bristol magistrates, he said, "The outfit I wear is not anything to do with a gimp." Hunt, a gardener, accepted he had previously made searches on his phone for stories about a Somerset gimp. Bit sus. A mysterious figure who had been spotted since 2018, but said he had only done this to keep up with local events. He said that he would don his black costume to go mudding to cover himself in shit. Because he had low self-esteem. Oh, do you know what I do when I'm feeling low?
There's no pick-me-up quite like rolling around in shit, is there?
Oh, no. He told the court he had been close to or on the road because he had been contemplating letting a car hit him. Hunt of Claverdham, North Somerset, so they've pretty much named where he lives as well, was found guilty of 2 charges under the Public Disorder Act.
I mean, that would freak you out. What's scarier, seeing that on the side of the road or 9 owls?
I'll take the owls.
Definitely would. Moving on to my segment now, which is pork scratchings, which, just to quickly let people know, is a subject that we pick every week, which is not every week, every episode, which is quite interesting. The sort of thing you could go down a pub and say to your mates, "Guess what? I just heard. This is interesting." And actually, it's a bit of a conversation starter, and it shows that you're quite a well-read, rounded individual as well.
More than likely, what happens is you say that, and someone will cut you off and say, "Wait a minute. You heard that on the Electric Honk podcast."
yeah, we've all
also heard it.
Mate.
Yeah. Can you explain what the word is for pork scratchings?
What the word is, or what they are?
Yeah.
So a pork scratching is basically like the skin and fat off a deep fried bacon, isn't it? Basically, or bits of pig, yeah. And sometimes you've got little bits of hair.
They call it pork crackling, don't they, in America?
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah.
What do they call it in Mexican? Probably
porco cracklino. Oh no, it's Italy. That is.
You literally did the hand movement as well, the Italian hand movement. Porco cracklino.
Something interesting you can discuss while you're eating your pork crackling scratchings. I mentioned at the start that we're both a little bit bunged up.
Yes.
We're both, you may have heard as well, or certainly me, I've got a bit of a cough. I know your little Evie's got a bit of a cough. My son's got a cough. Basically, 90% of the people everyone knows at this stage currently has some sort of cold, cough, flu symptoms.
Can vouch.
I don't often go on TikTok, but I saw that owl thing.
Liar.
And then I saw this other one. And this other one was, can we just acknowledge that everyone in the world right now is sick and there's no major news scandal about it? Like, we were so obsessed with getting people to just not catch COVID, but currently whatever's going around, everyone's got it. I was reading through the comments beneath it, literally like 9 out of 10 comments or below it, all the top comments were just basically blaming it on chemtrails. Like chemtrails. Clearly that can't be the case. And I thought, actually, that reminds me of something I read ages ago. That's going to make a great pork scratchings to tell you about.
Oh, we've not even got into the pork scratchings yet.
So this is it. How the British government subjected thousands of its own people to chemical and biological warfare trials. So during the Cold War years, between the 1940s and 1979, the UK government secretly poisoned, it says here, millions of its public with chemical and biological warfare substances to see what effect they would have. So researchers have learned that the British military aircraft dropped thousands of kilos of potentially dangerous zinc, cadmium sulfide over several towns across the UK, as well as over the English Channel in the North Sea. More than 750 secret operations took place, with this chemical being dropped onto the unknowing British public.
That's wild.
It's mental, isn't it? The secret operations, carried out by scientists from the government's controversial military research base at Porton Down in Wiltshire, also saw large quantities of the bacteria Bacillus globigii released on the underground system in May 1964 to test how far the aerosols would be carried around the network. In 1999, an inquiry was opened into the deaths of servicemen in the UK military, allegedly used as guinea pigs in secret military chemical warfare tests at the centre. These men took part in tests during a 30-year period. Many servicemen and women said they believed they were taking part in experiments to find a cure for the cold, but they were actually exposed to CS gas, mustard gas, hallucinogens such as LSD. And a spokeswoman for Porton Down, when asked about the tests, if they're still being carried out, her response was, "It's not our policy to discuss ongoing research."
What? Well, that's a twist I didn't expect.
Yeah. So what we're saying is the whole of TikTok seems to believe that chemtrails are responsible for everyone being ill right now. And for like a good 30 or 40 years, the UK government was actively poisoning its own public.
When a Western civilization, a Western community like the British, supposed to be like very progressive and so on and technically advanced and all this kind of stuff, still doing that kind of stuff. And has that been reported or has that been proven?
Yeah, it's been released by the government.
Okay, it's proven.
Yeah,
so they've admitted it.
Yeah.
They basically just wait 50 years and then release the fucking bad news, don't they?
So in 50 years' time, we might look back at this year and think, do you remember that time when everyone was ill over Christmas?
Mustard gas, obviously.
It's chemtrails.
It was LSD. That's the wild one. It's like, why release something like LSD? Like, you know that it's not a cure for the cold because you're having the best time of your life.
Yeah. Public satisfaction was going through the roof at that point, just before an election.
Yeah. Well, that was pork scratchings. That was interesting and scary in equal measures.
Yeah.
We've got TV.
No. We've got penis gift.
Oh, penis gift! So this was just... I do get adverts on Facebook, obviously, like everyone, unfortunately. And I did get this advert earlier. I'll just show you the picture and we'll let the public decide, the listeners decide whether or not this is a great gift based on your reaction.
Oh, yes. That's so good. Do they do it in different colours as well, do you think?
Right, this is the penis gift.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it's basically just socks, but there is like a knitted outline of a penis, like a quite realistic looking penis hanging out of the bottom of the sock.
Yeah.
So it's like the dick is hanging out of the bottom of your leg, which is just like a really funny meme gift. Yeah, I'm getting that advert a lot at the moment. And if I were to have gotten you a Secret Santa, we forgot to do it this year, that would have been it. But I might still get you it anyway, and myself a pair, obviously.
Yeah. Well, you don't need a pair, do you?
No.
It just hangs out naturally.
It does. Out of my pocket. We have got Sports Personality of the Year. We're sort of running a bit low on time, so we'll probably glaze over this. The upshot is, Sports Personality of the Year, Spotty. There's not really any great candidates this year.
I never really watch it, to be fair, but we did have a look at who's up for contests this year.
Yeah, but you normally have a good, like there's someone exciting, like a Tyson Fury or like a...
Yeah.
Ben, who's the cricketer? Ben something or other. Stokes.
Ben Stokes,
yeah. Ginger guy. Slim pickings. So we decided to pick on the 15 national regional winners in contention for the Unsung Hero Award.
Yeah, we had a quick skim through them, didn't we?
Yeah, so rather than talking about the actual famous ones, we thought it'd be nice to talk about one of the Unsung Heroes, which I think is brilliant because it's a regional thing.
Yeah.
And we all know people that do a lot for charity and so and so. I think they do have to be sports related, don't they? They can't just be any charity.
Yeah. It's in the sports related arena. And I think because they're unsung heroes, if we now sing about them and sing their praises, they'll just be heroes.
Absolutely. The problem is, this has been announced tonight whilst we're on the podcast. So the winner of those 15 will now be known. We don't know it.
Yeah.
So we now need to cover both scenarios for Sadie Merrion, who is...
You do the victory one and I'll do the loss one. Okay.
Right, okay. Well, I'm going to say Sadie, after watching her children play for Guernsey RFC, Sadie was inspired to give back to the club and became an honorary secretary. Her all-encompassing voluntary work ranges from organising club finances to cooking breakfasts. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well done, Sadie, on winning your Unsung Hero
Well done,
award.
Sadie. Absolutely legendary.
We don't need to promote you to win it further, and there's not been an outrage at all.
You're
because
a sung
the right
hero.
person won.
Yeah. Legend, Sadie. Well done. Congratulations.
Now you do your bit.
We were fully behind Sadie Merrion, weren't we, for the Unsung Hero Award?
We were, yeah.
Because especially after watching children play for Guernsey RFC, Sadie was inspired to give back to the club and became the honorary secretary. And her all-encompassing voluntary work ranges from organising club finances to cooking their breakfasts. Yeah. And I genuinely feel she should have won. And I think that the person that won in the end didn't deserve it at all. Like Sadie was easily favourite to win.
It could have been a fix.
Yeah, it sounds like a fix, and we'll investigate that, and we'll try and get Sadie onto the show at some point.
We will, yeah. And should we maybe try and get it overturned as well?
Yeah, we'll start an appeal, shall we?
Yeah.
From now.
Let's do it. Right, we covered both angles there.
Good.
We can move
on. Well, let's just quickly run through some football. Man City have gone off the boil.
They have.
They keep drawing and losing games.
Everyone keeps saying it, but they always, almost without fail, have a great second half of the season.
Yeah.
And it normally kicks in around February.
But they don't normally win the treble the season before that.
True.
So motivation could be an issue.
And normally KDB is Kevin De Bruyne is normally fit, which he is not.
Yeah.
And he is their star player.
Yeah. He is back now, though.
He is, yeah, exactly.
So we'll see how that goes. Liverpool were briefly top, and then they got held back by Man United. Man United's 11-man defence.
I knew that was going to be a 0-0, just because everyone was hyping it up after last year.
Yeah.
Liverpool won 7-0. It's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime game. I don't think there'll ever be anything like that again for Liverpool and United. But
I think if United tried to play properly, they would have lost 7-0. But they had everyone behind the ball throughout the whole game.
Yeah, it's like all they wanted to do was not lose 7-0 again.
Yeah, that's basically it, I think.
I saw a stat about Rashford, and I didn't fact check it, but I had no reason to believe it wouldn't be true. That in 7 games, he'd had 1 shot.
Right. Yeah.
We're not even talking about goals here.
Yeah.
1 shot on target.
And when you see the amount of effort he puts into running and chasing down the ball, which is literally like 1 out of 10 effort, it's no wonder he's being dropped from the team these days.
Jesus. I mean, what would you even do as a manager when you've got a guy like that? Because he must be quite influential at United by now.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He must think he's the king of the dressing room.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do. I think they need to bring in some more players who are confident leaders and not like arrogant show-offs like Pogba's and that sort of player.
I do think you're lacking like a sort of a Gerrardi, Roy Keane type of Cantona.
Somebody who's going to be like, fucking come on, lads.
Even like Rooney, to be fair, was a little bit gripping by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, I think the club's missing that, really.
Yeah, or maybe a couple, 2 or 3 players that could just bring a bit of grit to your team.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
I think they're going to stick with the manager because I think it's proven now that changing a manager does very little apart from an immediate bounce where they might rescue their league position by a couple of places.
Yeah.
Everyone gets excited and then the same routine happens again. They're waiting for this ownership issue to sort itself out with Jim Ratcliffe becoming a minor investor. And then he's hoping to have some control of the football side of things. Then they might have a bit more foresight with their transfers and start slowly progressing in the right direction, but it's going to be like turning a massive ship or a tank. It's not going to be a quick fix. Whenever shit hits the fan, they're going to be able to each transfer window fix a hole.
Yeah.
But currently, every time they buy a new player, it seems to create a hole somewhere else. They'll always finish top half of the table. I think the manager's good enough to get a team that gets enough results together.
Briefly touch on how well Villa are doing at the moment?
Yeah, I love watching Aston Villa at the minute.
I just can't believe that team is doing as well as they are. It's like,
they're so good to watch as well. They've just got a nice, almost semi-regular team. Just 1 or 2 players might get tweaked here and there, but pretty much you could name their starting 11 most weeks.
Emery?
Unai Emery.
Yeah.
He was Arsenal manager for a while.
Yeah.
And he didn't do very well there.
Very strategic manager.
Yeah. He won the UEFA Cup with Villarreal a couple of times. Beat United in the final with one of them. Definitely a good manager.
I think this is the Gerrard hangover. He's done all the hard work and Emery's
takes the glory.
The glory, yeah. No, but seriously, it's. I'm pissed off at the fact that Villa are doing well because I've got some former colleagues, actually from quite a few years ago, that used to support Villa, and they were real dickheads.
Yeah.
So, and I just imagine being still in that job and coming to work on a Monday and having to manage these people.
Yeah.
And them just being smug that Villa are doing so well, and like. They are the people that you do not want to experience positive football because they're the worst winners.
Isn't it funny how you form your opinion on football teams based on people who you know that support that team? Yeah.
So but it would be great for the Midlands in the UK. I mean, for them to get a club that's doing as well as even to get in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Because Birmingham are sort of lower half of the league in the Championship at the moment.
Yeah.
And West Brom are
Championship as well.
Yeah. So they're suffering a bit in the Midlands at the moment.
Yeah.
Coventry are obviously not in the Premier League either. Maybe they
don't even know where they are these days. Probably they might be Championship, but even still, they're struggling. Yeah, I think Aston Villa are doing amazing. And also, last shout out on the football front is Tottenham Hotspur, because having sold Harry Kane, who is absolutely flying in Germany, they've lost their world class player.
Marquee,
the new manager's come in. This shows that you don't always need a long time for a manager to bed into a club. He's just come in and like a light switch, turn him into this free-flowing attacking team. Yeah. And they're also great to watch.
Credit also, just one final thing, to Everton. They're playing some good football, and they've had the 10-point deduction.
Yeah.
If they didn't have that, I think they'd be something like 9th or 10th.
Yeah.
They'd be mid-table, but they've won like 3 or 4 games on the bounce in good fashion as well against good teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not safe, but if they'd have had the extra 10 points, they would have been close to safety now. I think they'd be on about 29 points or something similar like that.
Yeah, I think they're not far off. Like they've cleared themselves out of the relegation zone.
Yeah.
And the key thing as well, they've invested all these hundreds of millions of pounds into a brand new stadium, which will be ready next year. Yeah. And if they got relegated this year,
it would have been disaster.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan. You hate to see it, but equally, a club with Everton's kind of history and, I suppose you could say prestige.
They're a likeable club as well. Every neutral likes Everton.
Yeah, it would have been a shame to see him go down. I mean, we joke, but it would have been a shame to see that club go down, especially on a technicality like spending too much money. But when you see the other teams that are spending too much money, doesn't make sense.
That's right. Yeah, Man City. Right, are we pretty much done?
I think we're done, mate.
Wrap it up.
Shall we say Merry Christmas to the listeners? Thanks for the support.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. I hope you all have a very good Christmas, good New Year, and enjoy the Boxing Day and New Year football.
Can we just say one little thing? We were getting a lot of love on the YouTube shorts lately.
Okay.
So
have you got a pair of YouTube shorts?
No. Have you?
No.
Oh, we need to get some.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe we do.
If our YouTube shorts are getting so many views, we need to start wearing YouTube shorts, don't we?
It'd be comfy to wear a pair of YouTube shorts whilst we pod.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks a lot and take care. Bye.